when you asked me would I do an interview, you know, at first I thought, well, what do I know? But 50 years has got to be a long time for some people. And when I was like 17 years old, I'd already been working in a little gas station shop right here in Vancleave, and since I was 12 years old. And I remember that when I was 1957, Chevrolet had these reverse wheels, and I worked hard to get this wheel off, and I'd been on it hours, and then I found out it comes off the back and not the front. And that's the way my life's been. You know, a lot of times I've been pushing and pulling real hard, only to find out if I just stopped and let the Lord have preeminence in my life, that things would be much easier, you know. And so January 1, 1963, 17-year-old boy still in high school, my parents mortgaged their home. My dad was I think it's 21 department at Shipyard Ingalls. He was Ingle Lloyd and been there forever. He was, I think, 21 departments, a cable puller or a chipper. A humble experience in life, you know, to raise his 4 children, which I was the third of the 4 children, his first boy, and you know, I like to tell people that I was a little curly-head, cute little old baby boy, and my parents just loved me. You know, I guess you can say it's the favorite of the family, and I say that with a lot of modesty even in that, because every man seems to want a son, and I had 5 daughters, and that's no puns against that. As life went on, you know, I was married in '64, and 10 months later, my wife and I had a little girl child. You know, and I'll reference that again. It was 10 months later, and I said, you know, when we got married, we were just so blatantly in love with one another. We just, you know, the first thing you know, that's what we'll call pregnancy. You know, just continually staying at home. And so anyway, it was a neat thing. I'm in business, been in business for since January 1 of '63. I'm married now, and 3 years later, I have another little child. You know, and 3 years later, we have another little child, and then time ticks on. 5 years later, we have another little child, and 9 years later, we have another little child. So we done clicked along here, and we have 5 children now, and they're all little girl children. And my mistake in life, I guess you'd say, is, Mark, I love my family more than I love Jesus Christ. And I didn't understand the difference. You know, when a man's in love with his family and he's in love with his business, and you get up with a passion to go and fix another tire, do another tire. Well, I'd done this at this particular place, which was my original shop building, January 1, '63 until 1968. In 1968, I had moved down to this property that we're on right now that Mark has already went around and did some shots and stuff. It was an amazing thing to watch God let me have this piece of property when there was not any possibilities, because we were landlocked in Vancleave, and it just seemed as though Vancleave would just snuggle up and die. But as you see now, we're a rolling metropolis of Vancleave. We're excited about being in this community and being who we are, you know. And I'm excited about my life as I've came through and everything. But my life was such a perfect example of what God can do with somebody when they're just blatantly dumb enough to believe that God is in it. I opened up by faith. I pull these doors open. I don't have a clue if I'm going to have a customer or not. And one thing you know, the next thing you have one, and you try to treat everybody as right as you can, you know. And I've had some rough spots in life, but in 1968, when we came down here, it was a nice time. We opened up with a gas station. We pumped gas for 21 years here, and then we had just a shop, the shop, the tires, and the garage part. And of course I had the body shop over next door. Jerry and Tony Bowers have been there forever, you know, good friends of mine. And Jerry, a couple of years ago, he passed away, and Miss Tony, she's still over there just selling cars and fixing fenders, you know. It's just a neat thing. We have a family affair business. It's a great thing to watch what God can do. But I, like everybody else, you know, it's an amazing thing to watch when you think that, I had a pocket full of money. I had 5 beautiful little children, two new brand new cars, a home that was paid for. Why do you need anything else? Why do you need God? Why do you need it? And then all of a sudden, on 3 days before Christmas, 1985, I had a 17-year-old daughter who burned to death in a car wreck, and I was so traumatized that I from this day right now, I still don't know that you actually get over stuff like this, but you watch what God can do. I've had people stand at this counter, Mark, and look at me and say, "Are you going to preach? Or are you going to fix my tire?" And I said, "Lady, I'm going to fix your tire, but it'll be when I finish preaching to this man. I said, his soul is a lot more important than your tire. And your tire is important, and it's important to you. And the joy of my life is repairing tires, fixing tires, and helping people get a little further down the road than they were today. And you know, I joked with this particular lady, and I said, lady, if you're in that big a hurry, go to Tim's across the street. He'll fix you right now. You know, and she said, no, sir, I just wait on you, Mr. Keith. And I'm thinking, you know, it seems like a rude thing and all of this, but you know, it is what it is. It's a tire store, and I have one purpose. I've had people look at me and tell me, you're going to go broke preaching it. That kind. I said, listen, if I do, it's a God thing. If I go broke, it's just the way it is. And you know, and I've trusted God. I trust Him in everything. I've learned that I had a preacher friend, Brother Bill Barrier, that would come in here, and he loved Brother Keith now, and he wanted me to be just like him, and I studied under him, and he came up with a thing about the second coming of Christ, you know. And I know we're talking about business and stuff, but watch what happened. And he got so mad at me that day. He just turned white around the lips, and he started out the door. And he got out the door, and I'm looking at him, and I'm thinking, Lord, if he don't want to use the talents and the gifts that you've given him, why don't you just give them to me? And the Holy Spirit spoke to me so plain. He said, I don't have to take from others to give to you, Keith. What you need to do is believe that I can, and that I am a rewarder of those that diligently seek me. And I began to seek Him even more so then at that point in time. And I watched God bless me. I was killed in a car wreck in '92, but I didn't die. And when I got out from there, I mean, we're talking a rod in the left leg and a rod in the right leg coming up, bolted into my hip. We're talking about a bruised spinal cord. We're talking about a man that is not able to raise his left hand anymore, and I'm basically a left-handed person. And the doctors tell me you'll never change another tire. And I've been changing tires 20 years since then. You know, I'm watching, because with man can't do what I've done. In 1979, I remember I was incorporated. John Corlow was a practicing attorney over in Pascagoula, and he went on to Jackson to become an outstanding person. And what I'm saying is, I've watched things happen, and I watched God move me into areas and stuff that there is just no way that I could do it. And so, you know, you think, well, how does this work? And God is just so good. I mean, you know, I'm His child. I'm an heir and joint heir with Jesus. That's what the Bible teaches in the book of Galatians. No longer a debtor to sin or to what I can do. And I know I'm trying to stick to what happened. But listen, I came down here where this building is in 1968. There was nothing down here. Lance started the lumber company right down here after that. The daycare center right across the street. Citizens National Bank, which went to Wells Fargo and went to whatever it is now. I can't even think. It's maybe Wells Fargo. But it was there. And then the Navigator Credit Union thing come over across there, and South Trust Bank. And the town has flourished. We're watching a little town, a little community that just basically just redneck youngins like me. You know, just having one thought, and that's let's get it done. Got to get it done. Everything, get it done. And so I'm down here, and I've watched myself get older. I'm 67 years of age now. I'm again have fallen, broken my hip. I've got the spine damage, and I've got all type of like hand impairments now. And people say, why do you do this? I have a passion for what I do. My passion is to come up here, stand in front of people, and let them look at me at a tire changer and say, you're kind of old for doing this thing. Why don't you hire a young boy? I said, listen, young boys can do this better than me, but I enjoy doing things that the normal man can't do. I said, look, I got one leg shorter than the other. I'm an inch and a half short on one leg, but I got a built-up shoe, and it hangs up on the tire changer. But I enjoy watching me do it in spite of my capabilities, because it's an amazing thing to do things that you know you're not capable of doing. So when you do these things, you know that it's a God working in you, and not you just working. I don't just try to suck up to God and say, ooh, feed me, so I can do more. And I just watch, and He does it in spite of who I am. It's whose I am and not who I am anymore. And it's the joy of my life. And, you know, I'm coming up on 50 years. 50 years, and 4 more months or 3. In January 1 of 2013 will be 50 years, and I'm trying to decide what next, Lord. You know, I'll be 68 years old in April of whatever next year is, and I'm thinking, Lord, are you through with me here? If you're through with me here, well, then I don't mind going on. I preach probably 2 to 3 times every week, and people say, I thought you were handicapped and disabled. I am. But I still work 60 hours every week because that's the joy of my life. My heart is in serving the public. I am a servant. But I like to think that first of all I serve the Lord Jesus Christ. And so when we look at our life and when all is done and they play that last harp thing, you know, and we look at everything, you wonder. My dad's got a thing in front of his site. It says, "Where you stand, I once stood. Where I am, you soon will be. Prepared to meet the Lord." And I'm thinking every work day that we work, we're doing something to further our life here on earth, but we need to be doing something to further our life in the hereafter. If you believe there is a hereafter, and if you don't believe there's a hereafter, you know, I mean, that's your privilege, you know, believe what you want. I get into issues. I go to the state penitentiary and preach. I go over to the Stephen Center and preach. I go over to the Home and Grace and preach. I go out as a Gideon and preach. I've been in over 200 different settings in the last 25 years. And you know, I'm thinking, it's a God thing. It's a God thing. It ain't nothing I can do. So we're just enjoying life, you know. And so 50 years, or maybe 51, who knows? But we sure do appreciate this opportunity to be interviewed. Thank you, Mark.
All right.
Here's the past, the present, and the future.
That's right. Bingo. That's good. That's good. That's good, Keith. It really is.